Hey guys, Becky here with Design Bundles, and I'm super excited to have you join me again today because we have a really great Cricut tutorial for you. This time we're working in Cricut Design Space, and I'm showing you all about using weeding boxes and then also weeding lines. Alright guys, so here we are in Cricut Design Space, and I'm really excited to tell you about these weeding lines and weeding boxes today because they can definitely make your weeding life a whole lot easier. So they can do that because, especially when you're working with a design that has multiple pieces, and especially if it's fairly large or just has vinyl that's cut in multiple directions, and that's often with text and that sort of thing, it can be difficult to kind of work your way around it while you're weeding. So we are going to break the design into multiple pieces, and it's really going to make weeding a cinch. So let's go ahead and talk about that now. Let's bring in a design. So go ahead and upload image. And I'm in my downloads folder. And I felt like this was a pretty good example. So let's go ahead and click on it and insert images. Okay, so what I mean by hard to weed is if I am weeding this and I'm pulling from outside this box, once I get down here to this area, then it's going to try to pull on the inside, and it just makes things a little bit more complicated. So first, let's talk about a basic weeding box. So we're going to grab a shape, and we'll just grab a square, and we are going to go ahead and make it white, just for ease of being able to see it, and we're going to send it to back. Now we're going to make this box fully incorporate our design. Now, the reason to do this type of weeding box is that it does still make it easier to weed because I have an isolated area. Okay, I don't have to cut this piece off of the sheet and potentially, waste that portion, especially if you are working on learning how to cut vinyl without a mat. This is a way that you don't have to cut into the backing because, once you cut into the backing, you can't cut that portion without a mat anymore. You'll have to cut the rest of the scrap off, and then you'll be, left with a scrap. But if you, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, but once you learn how to put a weeding box around your design, you can just weed this area and go ahead and grab it with the transfer tape, and that's going to leave your full backing in place. Okay, so that's important, but also just having that contained area to help you designate, like, this is where my cut design is. Okay, so what we're going to do is just go ahead and we're going to make a copy of that. I just copy and paste. And I'm going to move this part over here. We don't actually have to do anything with this. Well, I guess we kind of do. Let's just, for kicks and giggles, we'll go ahead and center align it. And then we can attach it together. That's all you have to do to cut that type of weeding box. Now, let's talk about another. And this is what we're going to call weeding lines. Okay, I promise it's going to make a lot more sense once we take a look at it. Let's go ahead and bring in another shape. And again, we'll make it white and send to back. The same thing, we will align center. But this time, we are going to go ahead and use the slice tool. And what this does is it's going to slice the design out of the white backing, so we can delete everything else. So this is what we're going for. Okay, now let me show you a little bit of difference because these initially look very similar. But let's just go ahead and change our color here. Okay, do you see how this design is actually cut as a negative? This one is not. Now, these will yield, as of right now, these will yield the same cut result. So you can do this part either way in regards of just making a weeding box. But there's not really necessary to take that extra step for a weeding box. But there is for a weeding line, and let me show you why. I'm going to go ahead and leave the background a color, and let's bring in some shapes. Now what I'm going to do, this box is 9.028. So we will just make this 2 inches wide by 9.1. Well, I did that backwards, didn't I? All right, so 9.1 by 2. And I need 5 of these. So I'm going to use my duplicate. So now I have 5 exact copies, and I can select all of them, align, and align center. I promise there's a reason. Now let me show you a tool that you guys may not know about, and that's going to be your position tool. And we are just going to position this as 1 by 1. And what that does is it positions it 1 inch and 1 inch over here on your ruler. Okay, so we're going to grab the first one. Now remember, these are 2 inches high. Each one is 2 inches high. So what I'm going to do is go to the position, and I'm now going to make this 1 by 3, and it moves it down 2 inches. And the next one, I'll say 1 by 5. Click on the next one, 1 by 7, and the last one, 1 by 9. Okay, now there's a reason I'm doing this, and that's because now these are perfectly evenly spaced out and aligned without any complicated work. All right, once you learn to use that position tool, it's very helpful in this situation. So we will grab all of these. We can go ahead and group them together temporarily. And we'll just say we want to make them 9.1. I'm going to unlock my aspect ratio by 9.1. All right, so it will be just a little larger than my square itself. So let's go ahead and send to back, just because I do like for the design to be on top, and we will align these center. All right, so what we want to do is I'm going to grab my group of squares, and I want to ungroup those. Now I'm going to use my drag box, and I've selected my design and the square underneath it, and I'm going to slice. Now we have to do it this way because you can't slice out more than 2 designs together at a time. All right, now you want to pay attention to what's going on with your slice result over here. And we want to delete out this part, this gray part of the slice result that we don't need. Okay, this will make sense in a moment. I absolutely promise it will. So now we're going to grab the second rectangle and then also the design. And we're going to slice those also. And when our slice result comes in, we're going to go ahead and grab the gray parts. We'll keep the white and delete the gray. We'll grab the third, slice it out, grab the gray and the gray. Fourth, slice it out, gray and gray. And the last one, slice it out, gray and gray. Okay, now let me tell you why. We're going to go ahead and grab all these, and we want to go ahead and attach those together. We don't want to take the chance that those are going to move. All right, our whole point for doing this is now I will be able to weed this in lines. Okay, what it's going to do is every part that is white will remove, and the part that is still lavender will stay in place. This will make a little bit more sense when we go to cut and weed it. So I'm going to cut and weed these at the same time, just so that way we can take a look at them together. But they need to be a little bit smaller to do that. So I'm going to make them 5.5 each. So we'll just move those close together just for visual. And let's go ahead and go over to make it. Now this time I am going to cut without a mat. Now this is because I'm using my new Cricut Maker 3. But guys, if you have not cut without a mat yet, it is definitely worthwhile. We have a video coming out for you. And then of course, if you're on a different machine, such as the Cricut Explorer Air 2 or the original Cricut Maker, you can definitely cut on a mat. Not a big deal. Let's go ahead and click done. And here's what I want you to see. Do you see how the grid lines are showing through the back? That's how you know that those are the pieces that are going to be left behind, okay? I promise, it makes more sense. But for now, I'm just going to space these out. Without a mat, 7.5. All right, everything looks good. So I'll click continue at the bottom. It's going to go ahead and connect to my Maker 3. And I'm going to select Smart Vinyl Permanent. Pressure default tool is going to be the fine point blade, and I'll be able to go over there, load my material, and press the go button. So I'm going to go and take care of that, and then what I want to show you guys is the weeding process for both of these methods. Alright guys, so this is our cut piece of adhesive vinyl. And the first thing that I wanted to show you was about being able to use this weeding box. Okay, so we have the weeding box and the weeding lines. Now, the first thing that you can do, if you want to, is go ahead and pull off the complete outside. Now, you don't have to, but it can make things easier. Okay, and this is the part that I wanted to show you about the weeding box, is that you're able to go ahead and weed this area without needing to separate it from the backing, okay? Because you can easily identify the weeding part that needs to be done. Now, this is where it gets tricky. This is where I was talking about it's gonna pull in on the inside. Now, you know, as long as you got a good cut, this should technically be okay, but it does make some people nervous, and if you accidentally allow the vinyl to touch back down, then it could potentially stick back on itself, okay? So, you know, I have a lot of experience weeding, so of course, you know, let's say I make it look easy, and of course everything looks easier on video, but this is totally a design that I could see causing people just a few concerns with weeding, especially as a beginner. Okay, so for example, say I had not cut this area over here. I would actually be able to pull this off of my transfer tape and feed the sheet back into my Cricut Maker 3 or Explorer Air 3 and use it with the matless cutting still. So that's just one perk of doing it this way. Of course, you know, if you're not used to matless cutting or you don't mind using your mat to cut scraps, completely fine. Just really throwing that out there as a time saver. Now, this is the design that we cut into the weeding lines. Let's see if you can see that at all. So what we're going to be able to do here is, instead of having to pull as one big piece, I can pull it in strips. So I grab one piece and just pull it strip by individual strip. Now, because we did all the slicing, you can see that the letters remain behind, okay? And I can still weed the inside here. But especially if I'm working with a large project, then this is an easy way to bring weeding one large project and take it down to weeding into multiple small bites, okay? So, you know, a lot of people will have a preference one way or the other. Some people like weeding lines, some don't. I won't lie, it does create more work when you're weeding, because you do have a lot of different pieces, whereas on this half, we were able to more or less grab the outside piece and pull it all away at one time. But, you know, being able to break it down if I need to is definitely beneficial. Like I said, for larger projects, or if it's a design that I think I may have problems weeding because of all the intricate areas or interwoven areas. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we do end up with the same result. It just depends on how you want to get there. This was done with a weeding box with one pull. This was done with multiple pulls for multiple lines of weeding lines themselves. So a lot of it is going to boil down to personal preference. I definitely would say give the weeding lines a try. Like I said, for those either more difficult projects or a larger project, when handling a large amount of vinyl when you're weeding is going to be the case. But two very good alternatives depending on how you feel about weeding, and either one of these is really great and really beginner friendly. So guys, how did you feel about learning to use weeding boxes and weeding lines in Cricut Design Space? Now, I know that especially for the weeding lines, all of that slicing can seem a little bit intimidating, but guys, really slicing is something that I recommend all beginners to master. There are so many possibilities and so many new things that open up to you once you learn how to efficiently use the slice tool, and naturally, we do have a tutorial on using the slice tool for your benefit on our channel. So definitely check that out if you have any questions. And speaking of questions or comments, definitely make sure you leave those down below. You guys know I love to hear from you. I love to check back in with you. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel, because guys, I'm telling you, I may have a little insider information, but we have a lot of really great videos planned for you. And turning on those notifications, you'll get notified every time we post a new video so that you can come and check it out. But for today, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks again for stopping by. I do really appreciate it, and we'll see you again next time.